Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SMEs A Day and the Life webinar series brought to you by Engineers for Engineers. I'm Rani Haroon and your host for today's webinar. First, I hope you're all staying safe wherever you are. For those that are attending our event for the first time, what is the purpose of this webinar and what's the Day in the Life webinar series all about? You probably wondered at some point what a day in the life of a mechanical engineer working at top companies like Tesla, SpaceX, HP would be like. Now you have the chance to find out through this interactive webinar series. In a minute or so, I'll introduce our special guest speaker of today, but first, let me tell you how this webinar will work. Starting with some housekeeping, all webinar participants are signed in listen mode only. So please type in any questions you might have in the dialog box on the webinar platform anytime during the webinar. All questions will be answered after the introduction of our guest speaker. In fact, the Q&A session will be an integral part of this webinar. You may ask any kind of questions, whether it's related to the mechanical engineering field, the company, the industry, career-related questions, or any questions related to the speaker's job or position. So for those who are not familiar with how YouTube Live works, this is where you can type in your questions. Simply type them into the chat box in your YouTube control panel as shown here. We'll probably get a lot of questions, so we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. So let's get started and introduce you to our guest speaker. Please meet Conrad Henry, a mechanical engineer at HP. Conrad, thank you so much for being with us today. We're very excited to have you with us. So can we start with you introducing yourself and telling us your story?
Hi, Ronnie. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. So I'd like to give a little bit of background about myself. My name, again, is Conrad Henry. I recently graduated a little over a year ago from the University of Texas at Austin with a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I also graduated with a minor in innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship. So I took additional coursework in marketing and advertising focused in technology. And I also had, prior to joining HP full-time, I had a couple of internships, one in customer support, and then one on the commercial architecture team for our notebooks, for our laptops. And so I joined last year as a commercial mechanical architect for our desktop mini portfolio. So our 1-liter desktops, and I work an active role where I manage and align with our original design manufacturers, our ODMs, and I work alongside our industrial engineers, our ID teams, which decide on the color, material, and finish of our products. I work with our thermal teams, electrical teams, system managers, and marketing. And so I work alongside a lot of these teams to plan our products 2 years ahead of time. So we're not just looking at launching, 1 year ahead of time, unless it's a newer device that we want to roll out to market as quickly as possible. But my day-to-day work involves a lot of CAD work and aligning with all these teams to meet the specifications that we believe our customers want from our products, and trying to look at the feasibility and manufacturing and design of those products. And aside from our, the actual product planning, I get the chance to present to all the other teams any innovations that I believe would provide valuable features to our customers. So I get to do a lot of innovative work there in trying to bring really cool consumer electronic features to our customers at a good price point and define ourselves in the market. So with that, We can open up to any questions, free to answer anything and all things, whether it's about my role at HP, how I landed the role at HP, any coursework that I had in my undergrad that was relevant, any kind of question. So thanks again for the introduction, and I look forward to answering all your questions.
So let's actually start with I would say the main topic of this webinar, Conrad. What does your typical day look like?
Yeah, so my day-to-day role entails, so as I'm on the planning team as a mechanical architect. So my main role is, like I said, product planning for our desktops around 2 years ahead of time. So we have a full product life cycle. We receive marketing requests at the beginning of our life cycle to see what we need to implement in our future products. And so a lot of my day-to-day is trying to stay up to date on those specs, working with industrial designers on what design choices we want for our products, working with our thermal teams to see how much space we need for our heat sinks, our thermal solutions, working with the electrical teams to decide on any connectors and stuff. But the meat and potatoes of the work I do is CAD work and management of our mechanical specifications with the original design manufacturers. So if we get a request from marketing, from the other teams, I have to work with the ODMs to decide the feasibility of, actually implementing these into our products, any of the features or specs. So I'll do a lot of CAD work using Creo. In my undergrad, I had used SolidWorks, but it was an easy transition to Creo. A lot of email communications, instant messaging. Since everything has shifted from to work from home because of COVID, I haven't had the opportunity to do a lot of rapid prototyping. But when we've been shifting more and more of our work to go into the office and into the lab. So alongside all the CAD work I do, I additionally would have rapid prototyping and checking our mock-ups and validating our production units that are being manufactured at specific deadlines and the stages. So a lot of CAD work, a lot of rapid prototyping, and a lot of communication among various different teams.
Thank you, Conrad. So we got a first question here from the audience. How did you join HP initially?
Yeah, so I had a kind of unique situation. A lot of the bigger tech and engineering companies target certain universities for recruiting. So I was involved in a student org on campus, a minority engineering org. I'm Cuban, so I wanted to make sure that I felt included in any and all of our engineering learnings, and just trying to feel part of the university and getting to know other people. And so HP had scheduled a corporate social with our student org. So unbeknownst to me, the VP, director, and an employee came out to the corporate social, and they talked a little bit more about HP, about the culture. We ended up going to Topgolf, and so I got to know quite a bit more about the company, and I was really interested. So they had set up interviews. So I interviewed with the VP and the director, and it went really well, but they didn't have any positions open. But I was really interested in HP because of everything I had heard about it and everything I'd researched. So I kept on pushing along with it, stayed up to date on their website and with the recruiter on any opening recs. And I found a position in customer support, I guess in my sophomore year. Yeah, sophomore to junior year. This would be the summer. So I found this opportunity. She relayed my resume and interview notes over to the hiring manager, and I was lucky enough to land the position after 2 additional interviews. So once I got my foot in the door, it was quite easy to continue to network with the architecture team, which I had first interviewed with, and that was my main goal was to be an architect. So then I just transitioned the next summer to a commercial architecture engineer role. And then from there, I was offered full-time after graduation to join on the team. So it is really challenging to, get not only just submit your resume through an application, but stay in contact with the recruiters within the company. And this goes for any company. You really have to be ambitious and show your passion and your interest in the company. And I think that goes a long way. And to add to that, there's a certain amount of luck, I believe, but a lot of it is really your ambition and passion and showing your interest to the company.
It sounds like
Great question.
thank you, Conrad. So it sounds like it's not, I would say, the most usual way to land a job at HP. So can you tell us a little bit more? I mean, if you can, what is for anyone who's looking then to apply for a job at HP? What is the most common way, and what would be your recommendations?
Yeah, so there are various ways you can connect with HP recruiting. Their big push is for conversion from interns. So if you're still in your undergrad or your graduate studies and you're not setting to complete soon and you have another summer, I would recommend the best method of landing a full-time position is to have an internship. And it doesn't have to be exactly in the role you're looking for, but one with relevant and applicable skills that you have. Aside from the intern conversion, if you want to join full-time, HP goes to a lot of career fairs, even now during COVID, virtual career fairs, whether it be, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineer conventions, National Society of Black Engineers conventions, even just some local university career fairs or regional career fairs HP attends. I'd recommend that you reach out to people on LinkedIn that you believe would be a good connection to have that might be able to put you in touch with a hiring manager, recruiter for a relevant open requisition. People at HP are really open to talking to people and making time to talk about their experiences. So that's one big reason I joined HP is the openness, open culture, open door policy. So reaching out to people on LinkedIn and keeping track of any open recs that are on our HP Careers website, I think that's going to probably get you the farthest. And then getting in touch with a recruiter through those people on LinkedIn is going to be pretty helpful. So I think those are the main things that you should look into in trying to secure an interview with HP. And if you have an additional question about the steps of the interview process, I can answer that too.
Yeah, that would be great. That's actually what I was going to ask as a follow-up questions. I think that would always be helpful.
Yeah. So for the interview process for HP, for technical engineering roles, typically you'll have a first, like a 30-minute screening with the recruiter, just to see what's on your resume, what skills you have and experiences, and try and figure out what best fit you might have with the open recs that they have on their end. And then you'll have an additional interview with, 1 to 4 people on the team that you'd be working on alongside. They'll ask you general mechanical engineering fundamental questions, questions about, really common ones are, cantilever beam systems, try and, design changes to those. This is more for entry level. I'm not too sure about higher up full-time positions, but even in those higher positions, they're going to want to make sure that you have those engineering fundamentals down. And then after that interview with technical team, you'll be relayed over to the hiring manager, and they'll do a little behavioral interview with you. ask you about any experiences you have, any questions you have about the company, about the role. And then they can make a decision whether they want to, provide you with an offer for joining, or they might go further and not necessarily require, in the sense that I guess not require, but they'll set it up to where you'll have additional interviews with the team, just so that they can make sure that they're choosing the best fit for the team.
The team, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Conrad.
Yeah.
Another question here from the audience, from Bruce. What engineering course knowledge is used most in your current work?
Yeah, so the coursework that I use the most is probably design methodology coursework. So that entails, how you structure your whole design process, how you find the best ideas, design for manufacturing, design for assembly, design for automation. So all those design methodology areas. Engineering communication, I think, is absolutely necessary for this kind of role. As an architect, you have to work with a bunch of different teams, and you have to make sure that you're providing a message and goal that's concise and to the point, but doesn't leave out any important details. One course that I feel that I should have taken a graduate level course on was manufacturing methods. You get a brief, not a brief, but you get an introduction into, die casting, plastic injection molding, stamping, all those manufacturing methods in your undergrad. But when you're taking a tech role where you're working with actual chassis and manufacturing, as opposed to a more, I guess, nitty-gritty mechanical engineering work, whether it's with energy systems or turbines or oil and gas. For consumer tech, you're working a lot with production and manufacturing. So those kind of manufacturing courses are really key for any mechanical position in the tech field. So those are pretty much the three real key courses that I feel I really use to the fullest extent on my day-to-day work. So design methodology, engineering communications, and manufacturing.
Okay. No programming language, no coding, nothing.
No. For my second internship at HP, I actually did do a little bit of a software project. So we were trying, as I was describing earlier, is that we work with the industrial design teams, and they provide some certain materials that they want to implement. But for some cases in product development, we want to avoid, increase in thickness and increase of weight. So if we use a less structurally stable material, we'll need to increase the thickness, but then it might change how the product looks. But then if we want to change to a more durable material, it increase the weight. And that's something we have to go back and forth on with marketing industrial design teams. So I had to develop a projection software using some regression modeling, so that the engineering architecture teams could use a GUI calculator to input, materials, manufacturing method, thicknesses, material density, and be able to come up with quick and easy estimates on how it's going to affect the weight and thickness of the end product. So I did use quite a bit of software there. I actually built it through MATLAB. Had I had some coursework in Python, I probably would have done it that way, or in Java. I did have some coursework in Java, but on my day-to-day, for my role, I do not use any software programming languages.
Okay. Thank you, Conrad. So diving into the role a bit more, I guess, what do you like the most about your current role as an architect, and what are the challenges?
Yeah, so what I like the most about my role is that I have a real big passion for consumer electronics, and as an architect, I get to be on the cutting edge of what those new technologies are coming before anyone else knows. So that is really intriguing to me, to see all the new electrical and mechanical features. And at the end of the whole planning cycle and production, getting to see the actual product at the end of the planning cycle is it's really rewarding, to see your actual product. Sometimes when you're working in other industries, you'll be working on the CAD, or you'll be working on some, testing methodologies for the product, for validation and stuff, but you don't necessarily get to see the full product at the end. But with the architect role, I end up working with the production and execution teams. And it's really rewarding to not only see it go from, an idea to handing it off and awarding it to an ODM, but seeing it come to full fruition and seeing it on a website that you can buy it, and your whole family can buy it. So that's what I like the most about my role. And then I guess the second part of your question was about any challenges I face. Is that correct?
That is correct. I would say, yeah, the challenges are the things that you're not as, I would say, passionate about, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the big challenges in working in consumer electronics and manufacturing is the fact that a lot of our production actually happens in Asia, and the time zone difference and language barrier and culture barrier between the original design manufacturers, the factories, that big difference between the US can be a big challenge. So if we run into an issue in manufacturing, or something else in the design, can't really get a response for a good next day. I mean, I'll check my email at the beginning of the day, 8 o'clock, and it's already 9 p.m. over there. So it's hard to get responses and stay agile on the whole design process when you're halfway across the world. So that's a big challenge. HP and a good amount of other tech companies have other company sites in Asia, whether it be in Taiwan or China, to try and manage those production facilities. But as an architect, I have the responsibility to see through the whole design process of our products. And so I have to ensure the best quality and design of our products. So trying to get that all aligned while being, across the world is challenging, but being able to do it in a, short amount of time, not even half a year, is challenging, but it's rewarding, and it teaches you a lot about prioritization and about communicating, about global communication, not only just working with people that, think the same as you and have the same cultural and intellectual thinking processes. It really opens up how you communicate and efficiently convey your thoughts to other people.
Okay. Is there any specific, I would say, project or mission or design that you have done that you're the most proud of, that you can share with us?
Yeah, I can't share too much about it, but I will say that with the driving change in the whole tech industry with AI, artificial intelligence and automation, there is a big drive for hardware automation. You can see it with fully robotic automation assemblies for in BMW factories and all the automotive factories, to where they're able to assemble full-on chassis without the need of actual workers on the ground, with only supervisors. And there's a big push across the tech industry for design for automation. Most of the coursework we receive in undergrad really only focuses on designed for assembly, for human assembly, and there's a big push on integrating, image processing, very high quality, tight tolerance robotic manufacturing now. So I'm working on a big project there with design for automation on our commercial PCs. But aside from that, there's also a really big push for sustainable impact from the company and from the whole tech industry, with all the images surfacing over the past decade on what effects the plastic industry is having on wildlife, and even so far as having microplastics appear in our water supplies and inside of our bodies. There's a big push away from using virgin plastics and having more of an impact on our global environment. So we are trying to push a big initiative. We have some really big changes in our 2030 goals for HP, and you can research them a little bit more. I'm not going to get too in depth on them, but there's a big push for circularity and carbon neutral initiatives. So as a mechanical engineer, I have the duty of really getting to know what materials we can put in our products, what issues we might face when going through the plastic injection molding process with any tooling we have, trying to determine certification of certain percentages of recycled aluminum and steel. So I drive a lot of that initiative within the company too. And it's really rewarding to, just not just design a product that does what it's supposed to, but providing that added value that it's, helping save our environment. So that's really rewarding too. So those are a couple of the projects that I've been working on aside from, product planning that I really enjoy and like to see where it goes in the next decade.
That's very exciting, Conrad. Thank you for sharing that with us. What do you think you would be doing if you didn't work for HP or in this field as a mechanical engineer? What would you be doing?
So I touched on it on my intro a little bit, but in my undergrad, I also got quite a bit of background in entrepreneurship and marketing and advertising. So if I weren't doing mechanical engineering, I would probably take a route along that. As I mentioned, I have a really big passion for consumer electronics, even more so in gaming. So I'd really like to lead, the change of video gaming, see where the strategy or guide the strategy for video gaming for the next 10 to 20 years. It's rapidly changing with all the streaming services for gaming. And I really enjoyed all the market research and, developing pitches, identifying what customers in the market really want, determining what price they're willing to pay for it. So if I weren't in mechanical engineering, I probably would have taken the role of maybe getting a master's in marketing and taking a more prominent role in trying to drive strategy with any of the big video game companies, whether that's Sony with the PlayStation, Microsoft with Xbox. Nintendo is based in Japan, but they do have business offices here in the US. But aside from that, there are big PC gaming pushes, especially within HP. So we have the Omen product line of premium gaming PCs, whether that be laptops or desktops. And there's quite a number of other OEMs that produce gaming PCs, whether it be Dell with Alienware or Legion with Lenovo. So, yep, that's what I would be doing instead.
That's great. What ways do you think you could still improve in your career?
Still improving my career. So, with COVID hitting last year at the beginning, having just finished my undergrad, I did not get too much exposure and I brought this up earlier about manufacturing. having the travel restrictions keeps me from going to the actual factories and seeing what our difficulties in manufacturing are. I get word of them from pictures and reports, but I don't actually get to see any issues that we may be having in the tooling process, or issues that may come up from designs that we try and implement. So where I would want to improve the most is trying to get that firsthand experience into our manufacturing processes in Asia. And I guess just really getting more experience on different platforms. So currently I work on the desktops, commercial desktops. Ideally, I would move into a role with our notebook team, because laptops really allow for more innovation. There's a lot of different systems on notebooks that desktops don't have, with all the peripherals, with audio and sensors, camera sensors, keyboard, touchpad, fingerprint, display, you name it. There's a subsystem that you can really still innovate on, that can really provide an experience to our customers that we don't exactly have right now. And desktop is kind of limited in the sense that it's there for powerful performance, it's cost effective, and maybe you can have it oriented in different kind of deployment environments. But aside from that, there aren't many too innovative new features that you can implement that really wow customers and really allow me as an engineer to express my innovative and creativeness. So I think that addresses the question. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's perfect. Actually, Conrad, thank you. What is your work life balance like?
Yeah, so with work from home, and even before that, HP, this is a big reason I joined HP, is that there's this big work-life flexibility. So when I interned on the architecture teams, the whole architecture org already had Friday work from homes. HP is very relaxed, as are other tech companies, about dress code and coming into work. You don't have to come in at 8 o'clock and clock out at 5, and you don't have to leave lunch at 11 and come back at 12 right away. There's good flexibility, and if anything ever happens with family life that you need to attend to, that always comes first with the company. And with work from home, it makes it even better to where I don't have to wake up early and drive to work and then start working on emails. I can wake up relatively early, or a little bit later, and then check my emails, take off for breakfast, come back on, take any meetings I need to do. And then if I have meetings later on in the day, later on tonight with Asia, I don't have to be on the whole day. I can take off if I need to do any chores around the house, if I have anything else I need to attend to. So I get this flexibility of being able to take off during the day if I need to. And yeah, that work-life balance is really nice. I don't think you really can get it at a lot of other companies. Since we have this ODM, original design manufacturer design process, we aren't getting into too much. We're not wasting a bunch of time actually producing the CAD for our products, really on the detailed scale. We're looking more on managing the actual design process and making any adjustments to the CAD and design that we need to make. So that ensures that I have more time and freedom to work on those projects at a higher level, rather than spending a lot of time and taking away from my actual life to be working on those actually really detailed CAD. So that frees up a lot of time on my end, and so I get the opportunity to be free in my schedule and flexible in my work-life balance.
Great. What in your opinion is one quality and ideal internship or new hire candidate should have?
So a quality or internship experience for a candidate?
Yeah, I guess quality is for someone who's looking for an internship or
Okay.
for a full-time job, whether it's at HP or for a similar, company.
Okay. Yeah, I think two of the most important things, aside from having a very strong mechanical engineering fundamentals and foundation from your coursework, is to additionally have very strong communication skills. And I've said this earlier. Really being able to effectively communicate with other team members, with your manager. It's absolutely key having presentation skills to try and convey your ideas, and any issues that are coming up from the design or manufacturing process are important. And then aside from that, and those communication skills can come from just how you present yourself in the interviews, through email, any past experiences you've had in your projects about maybe communicating to higher level professors, receiving feedback, and how you change your design. And then aside from the communication, I had mentioned, what did I mention? Oh, so I would say the other important thing is really having a passion for the company and the products. So I think it's important that you're not just trying to get the internship because you want to get some, experience just for the experience. I think it's important that you have a passion for the company and for the product, not just doing it because you want to get an internship. And I think that goes for any company, really. Having a good knowledge of what the product lineup is, what their newest innovations and technologies are really going to differentiate you from the rest of the crowd. Anyone can have past internships, or be in student orgs, or have good grades in undergrad. But if you really want to differentiate yourself and make it known to the company that you are interested, you got to really show that you have passion and ambition for the field. And it doesn't need to come from experiences. It could simply just be, talking about the latest and greatest trends in the field.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Great question.
How steep or not, I guess, is the learning curve in your role as an architect?
Yeah, so for the architect, I think it's not really too steep of a curve. I would say the biggest difficulty in joining on full time from my background, from undergrad, is managing with ODMs, trying to pinpoint and productively critique any issues you may see in the design, and working to evaluate it on your own time, with all the CAD work that entails. So being able to have the background from your undergrad about fundamentals and manufacturing, and then relaying that information of your findings to the planning teams and have it corrected with the ODMs is maybe the most different thing that from your coursework. But aside from that, I don't think there's too steep of a learning curve. It's really learning to network with the rest of the team, having good communication skills, and working with people from across the world. I think that might be the learning curve for being an architect from in any tech company. But it's not that steep of a learning curve. So,
okay. In terms of training, have you received any special ones? And also, if you can tell us more about, I guess, what are training opportunities or growth opportunities at HP. If you can,
Yeah.
anything you can share, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. I can share about some training experience I had at HP. I really took the ambition on my part to find out any trainings that I needed to accomplish my job in the best way. So I could talk about three kind of different trainings. Coming out of undergrad, I only had SolidWorks experience, and the ODMs that we work with mainly develop CAD through Creo or Pro Engineer, PTC Creo. There's a bunch of different names that's changed over the years. So I did not have some of the little like keyboard shortcuts and design steps that Creo has versus SolidWorks. So I took some separate Creo course trainings online through HP. So I think I don't know how many hours I got into it, but I took all the fundamental courses because I knew I could pick up the rest afterward. I also took an ASME course. It was Fundamentals of Industrial Automation, or something like the Introduction to Industrial Automation, because of this whole push for design for automation within the company. And I didn't have too much coursework on that. I wanted to gain some additional knowledge, so HP paid for me to be able to take the course, and that was really helpful in trying to get a good baseline for industrial automation, and then how to correlate it into our designs. And then what else? Creo. So I took Creo, I did the ASME coursework, and then HP also has a good partnership with ANSYS. So for FEA analysis, whether it's structural integrity or fluid dynamics, we have about some hour to 2 hour long sessions with an ANSYS instructor for our architecture teams, to where we can learn how to use their software a little bit better and how to, really develop our products and designs to make them work better. Typically within the company, we have some people actually focusing on FEA, but it's good as a mechanical engineer to keep up those skills that you may not have the chance to use as often. And then when you need to use them and you don't know how to use them, you're out of luck. So it's good to have that opportunity for additional trainings to, keep up those skills and be able to use them to, better your product, better your portfolio, and, make yourself a, more skillful mechanical engineer. Yeah, great question. Yeah, I had great training opportunities here at HP, and I'll continue to take advantage of those. Also, if you have LinkedIn Gold, or what is it, LinkedIn Premium, whatever it is, there are a bunch of great coursework on there, and you can get certified for a bunch of different things. So I'd recommend that if you're looking for additional trainings.
Okay, great. Thank you, Conrad.
Yeah.
In terms of I guess career path, where can you go from where you are now as an architect?
Yeah, so as an architect or an engineer here at HP, we have the technical career path, the TCP, and we also have TCPMP, which is a technical project management career path. So as a mechanical engineer, any engineer here at HP, you have the opportunity to take a more technical career path to where you can become a very influential master technologist. There is about, I think, seven different levels of expertise on that career path. And you can move, horizontally and vertically through the company. It doesn't have to stay on the same team either. HP doesn't only make PCs. They have printer division. They have 3D printers. They have VR, virtual reality technologies. And so there's a lot of opportunity to move up and down within the company. There's also project management opportunities for mechanical engineers. And these are defined career paths. So you can talk with your HP manager about how you want to move within the company, what your ultimate career goals are. And if you want to do a more project management role, then you can take that path. You can take a technical career path, and make that your career, or you can kind of find something in the middle and have more managerial roles to supervise other engineers in design. Aside from that, I have seen some people move outside of engineering as well. The opportunities are endless at HP. It's a huge company. I've even heard of people that move across the globe just because they want to get those experiences. And every single manager I've had have been very open to what my career goals are and where I foresee myself in the future or where I want to be. So there's a lot of freedom within HP about how you move around and how you move up and across the company.
Is there any, mentorship kind of a program that would assign you a mentor when you start, or when you started with HP, or when you need it?
Yeah, so the intern program at HP is very well defined. You have your manager, and you also will have a buddy, an onboarding buddy that will help you find out all the resources and people you need to talk to when you first join. And they'll help you along your project assignment for that internship, help guiding you with any additional, expertise they can provide, or any tools that might help you along your project. And then when you join full time, it's really important to establish a mentor that can help guide you through the process and grow as an engineer. So a big thing at HP is our growth mindset. Really want to see individuals that are very humble and understanding that there's so much to learn, and it takes time, and you can gain that expertise from other people within the company, whether that be just someone at your manager's level or all the way up to a VP level, getting that mentorship. And everyone at the company is really willing to help out and provide any kind of different perspectives on what their projects and roles are, and help you think about your projects and roles a little bit differently, rather than being stuck in the same mindset of how to get tasks done. And then once you get more expertise, more experience, it's really important that you continue that cycle, so that you become a mentor to someone else, whether it's an intern, whether it's a new full-time hire. And it doesn't have to be directly on your team, it can be across the team, and so that you both benefit from that exchange of knowledge and work in order to improve the whole design and networking with other people. It's really valuable in innovation to have those strong connections and grow from the experiences of other people.
Great. Thank you, Conrad. We're approaching the top of the hour now, so we're just going to go through a few more questions. So if the audience, if you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to post them on the YouTube chat. Otherwise, Conrad, can you tell us or share, your tips on how you stay up to date with the, with the industry? Anything that you're doing in particular to keep up to date with the trends and all that?
Yeah, of course. So some in the tech industry, it's really important to stay on track with any and all innovations. It doesn't have to just be with PCs. So I get a lot of my information from social media channels, mainly Reddit and Google. But staying up to date on any keynotes, any product announcements, and reading up on the innovations that they come up with is pretty important in the field that I'm in. So Google had their I/O presentation 2 days ago, and they announced some really cool projects like Project Starlight, which is a new 3D teleconferencing solution. They talked about quantum computing, that can have quite a big impact in, a decade or so on consumer computing. Yeah, so mainly getting that kind of information from Reddit and YouTube, and any news articles is really important. Staying up to date on any keynotes that Apple, Google, any product announcements that NVIDIA, Intel, any of the gaming PC manufacturers, video game manufacturers have is pretty important to stay up to date on. And it's pretty easy just with a simple Google search to see what the latest and greatest tech is.
Okay. And then, so let's see, do we have, question from Audrina. How involved have you been in ASME and its resources?
Yeah, so I joined HP recently. I have been pretty heavily involved in SHIP at HP, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, so I haven't had the time to get more involved in ASME. But as I mentioned, I'm really taking advantage of I haven't gotten the chance to become a full member since HP provides allocates each employee enough money to join one professional community once a year, their fees. So I have SHIP this year, maybe next year will be ASME. But aside from that, with ASME, I really did take advantage of the learning resources ASME has to take that introduction to industrial automation course. In the future, I haven't gotten a chance to look, but there's probably some manufacturing coursework there. And I haven't really gotten the chance to reach out to the local chapter at the University of Texas at Austin recently. I have talked to a few members about HP and the opportunities with some ASME members from that chapter. But aside from that, just making sure, take the opportunity to look at the coursework that ASME has available has been pretty beneficial to improving my skill set. And I probably will look into joining ASME as a full-time member. I know that one of the benefits too is ASME sends out a monthly magazine, and that's really nice to have in the house to stay up to date on not just the tech field, but any developments in the mechanical engineering field too.
Hey, thank you so much, Conrad. So we're going to go, I believe, so one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. So just, I guess, to conclude, if you can share, I guess, your most, maybe 1, 2, 3 most valuable lessons so far?
1 to 3 most valuable lessons. Trying to think. Yeah, I think one big thing that I've found to be really helpful through my whole career so far is to really be yourself and be confident in yourself and what you have to offer. Sometimes people can feel when they're in a certain position that they feel imposter syndrome, where they feel they don't fit in, or they're not contributing to the level that other people are. But it's really important to have the posture and the confidence to assert what your thoughts are, and not in a way where you're questioning yourself. And that'll really define you as an engineer and an individual. Not that you're always questioning yourself. I mean, it is important to be critical of what your ideas are and think through them thoroughly. But when you're presenting an idea that you really want to, push, that you're confident, and don't try and be someone that you're not. Sometimes people feel that it's important that they say certain things or talk a certain way so that they fit in with whomever they're working with, or even if it's at a friendly level, who you're hanging out with. But it's really important to just really be yourself. So I think those are some key takeaways. I know they're aside from engineering, but I think it's really important on a, on a perspective on life and how to enjoy yourself, is to really be confident and be yourself, and take risks every once in a while too. Don't be afraid. You only have one life to live, so you want to take advantage of any and all opportunities you may have, and don't be scared of what's ahead. Plan for what's ahead. So yeah, those are my words of advice for anyone and everyone that I've learned over the course of my life and career so far. So yeah, it was a pleasure being on this call, this webinar. And I really wish the best for everyone that's in ASME. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you'd like. You can just look up my name, reach out to me with any additional questions you may have, and wish you best of luck.
Thank you so much, Conrad. That's very nice of you, and that's a very nice way to conclude this webinar. So just going back to, I guess we're going to conclude and wrap it up very quick here. So thank you again, Conrad. Thank you for everyone who joined us today. I hope you all found it very insightful and very helpful. This webinar has been recorded and will be available online at www.asme.org in a few days. And lastly, in a few minutes, we'll send you a short survey. So please be so kind and give us your feedback so we can bring you speakers and topics that are the most of interest to you in the future. And also, our next webinar will be on July 13th with Blue Origin. So very excited and very much looking forward to that one. For those who are not familiar with Blue Origin, it's the aerospace company that was founded by Jeff Bezos. So hopefully, for those that are watching this video, you will join us on that webinar. And again, thank you all for those who attended, and thank you again, Conrad. Bye-bye.